Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode. Where are we at? 447, 446, somewhere up there, getting close to 450. Happy Tuesday. Going to talk Ginter today. Yesterday, I listed, Monday's my big list day. So Sunday is a big ship day, Monday's a big list day, and then Tuesday is kind of a half and half. Ship in the morning, list in the afternoon. Wednesday is kind of my flex day. So I'm kind of building up that routine moving forward. So I was able to hammer out 300 listings through File Exchange. Did another dozen or so last night watching Herman and Kin's show. So a little over 300 listings in the eBay store, getting close to 9,000. So trickling up, which is good and bad. I want it because my goal is 50,000, but I also gotta sell, gotta make that money. So it's been a good it's been a good last week or so. So just keeping that forward progress, that momentum, and moving forward. So been a lot of baseball, been ton of baseball. Like that's all I've been listing. The football and basketball that I list is just it's just not moving. Baseball, man, it's amazing what's moving. Get my phone out from just what I listed yesterday. Some of the things that sold that I listed yesterday. Now football and basketball, it's just again, it's not moving. And when it is, it's moving at a snail's pace. Speaking of Allen and Ginter, one of the last cards I sold this morning was from last year's set, Tanzanite, which is it was their Digging Deep insert set. So what else sold from yesterday's listing? A 1995 Topps Finest Ozzie Smith sold for $1.50. Another non-sport Ginter, 2015 Ginter X Zach Lowe, who was a sports writer. Let's see, 1988 Topps Mark McGuire. Yes, a 1988 Topps Mark McGuire sold for $1.50 overnight. Let's see, a 2020 Topps Archives Aaron Judge and a 2019 Topps Archives Aaron Judge. A 1990 Topps Sammy Sosa rookie card sold for $1.50. I took a best offer on a 1985 Donruss Diamond Kings of Cal Ripken Jr. for $1.20. And how about this? Kenner starting lineup cards of Juan Gonzalez of the Texas Rangers. I sold two of them for $1.50 each from 1993. So that's some of the stuff that's selling. So when you're digging through your cards, if you're selling on eBay and you're digging through some of these cards and you're finding these, and again, I'm selling all of this through the standard envelopes now because my stamp guy is out of the stamps. So I'm having to spend 53 cents on these. And the hope is people will see the quantity in my store and they'll buy multiple cards. So, it's more than just a 40 cent. I think 40, I figured it out the other day. And I've always known what the 99-cent margin was. It's like, what's the $1.50 margin? And I think the $1.50 margin on a single sale, even with standard envelope, with the card saver cost, with the envelope cost, it's like 42 cents, I think. And I know people will say, oh my God, you're going through all that work for 42 cents. 300 listings in one day on File Exchange, 60 seconds to ship. You're not doing it for one shipment. I always have to qualify when I say the net margin on a single sale. Anyway, what's up, Jenny? Jenny's in the chat. Thank you, Jenny, for today's topic, talking about Allen and Ginter. Ryan Nyquist. Yep, Ryan. There's been a ton of non-baseball in recent Ginter years, and we'll go in more in depth in that. George is going to be with us for about another 6 minutes. He's going to fall asleep. Nighty night, George. Let's see, Jenny, by the way, listed 100 cards yesterday, so congrats to Jenny. Almost Wednesday for George. Just one more sleep until Wednesday, George. Diego's with us. What's up, Diego? Mark Hoyle, good morning. I have to wait to ship cards till ink arrives today. Hope buyers don't get mad. Jenny, invest in a thermal printer. It will change your life. I held out until last Christmas. I finally pulled the trigger. I told my wife, I'm like, why don't you get me one of these thermal label printers? And fired it up. And man, I love it. Absolutely love it. It saves me time and it will save you a ton of money, especially as you build your sales and you're doing more and more sales. If you're only doing a few a week, it's not worth it. But I mean, if you're doing any type of sales on eBay, you know, the break even point, what that might be. But I mean, if you're doing 20 a week, I would say invest in a thermal printer and get the 1100 because that way you can print the labels. Sometimes some post offices, we've talked about how they interpret differently. They won't. The I have the 800, which I haven't been using lately. Smaller labels, 2x7s. You have to go with the 4x6 labels. It's going to cost $150 maybe. If you might be able to find it on sale, but you don't have to pay for ink. That's a huge cost saver. Let's see. I only have cards to ship that have sold since 9 a.m. yesterday. Otherwise, I'm caught up. That's awesome. Did you ever sell some of those yellow Sears Hoops basketball cards you got in the box you bought at the show? Uh, I had no idea. I were those Sears like parallels? So yes, I've sold. I think there were 4 or 5, and I've sold. I think 3. I've sold most of the ones that were in that box. The David Robinson sold for like $4. John Stockton, I think, sold for $2. And there might have been Karl Malone for $2. And I think I have a couple left. My basketball is sorted by player, so I can't look. But I did sell, I think, 3 of the 5. I think there were 5 total. I don't know what they are. I just called them yellow parallels from 89 Hoops. From Sears. Interesting. I had no idea. So yeah, David Robinson, John Stockton sold for sure. And then I think Karl Malone. I think I had both Malone and Stockton. What's up, Dan? Good evening to you. Jenny says, I'm waiting in hopes I'm buying one for Christmas. If not, I'm buying one Saturday. Oh, yeah, we did talk about that. Saw a guy do a video about them one day. Interesting. I had no idea what they were. I just typed in when I was comping them just to see what they were. I wanted to know what they were, and I just saw yellow parallel. So that's just what I typed them in as when I listed. So I listed. It's been all baseball this week, and I'm going to continue when I list today more baseball. I pulled out, and we talked about storage boxes last night. Herman and Ken talked about it on their show. Check it out, 3B collection. And we were unanimous in not liking the 5-row boxes. And I pulled. I mentioned I listed those 74 tops baseball, none of which sold, which is weird. Like the last couple times I've listed like 70s cards, it's like all of a sudden boom. But when I listed 73s last week or 2 weeks ago, kind of slow. It took a few days to get those sales moving in. So maybe that's what'll happen with 74s. But anyway, a lot of them were duplicates. I think there were some cards I had like 8 of 74 tops. So I think there were only like 100 or 120 like unique cards to list. So I pulled one of my bargain box, one of my quarter boxes, and it's a 5-row. That's just it's been at shows. It's been at 15 shows in 2021, and I couldn't believe some of the cards that I was listing off. I'm going through. It's like, oh man, this will move on eBay. This will move on eBay for $1.50, and it's not selling out of my box for 25 cents. So that's, I'm just kind of doing that where I've got that 2-month break between my show. I do have the Rockford show coming up the second week of January. But I think I'm going to scale back and just do more dollar boxes, maybe do a second dollar box and then bring less 25-cent boxes. So that's kind of the strategy, at least for January. That's how I'm going to approach it. And then some of that stale inventory just list on eBay. And I've, already proven in the last 12 hours how some of that can move quickly. And it's it's the surprising stuff. I'm having better luck moving junk wax era than some of the newer stuff, especially when when you compare it to other sports. Again, football and basketball in season is just not moving, but baseball, this is the worst time to sell baseball new stuff. And some of this stuff is just flying out of my eBay store. Jenny says, I always go to TCDB to look on parallels I'm not sure on. That's a good way. When I look at, so Panini is, I still like even listing all of these basketball parallels. I Google this set like 2020 Prism and either Cardboard Connection or Beckett is my go-to. Usually whichever one comes first on the Google search. And then I just look at the parallels and it's usually boom right there. You don't have to look around for it. So I just Google the set. It is a little harder. It's a little harder for older sets. So anything in the last like decade, Beckett or Cardboard Connection is the go-to for me. But if it is older, it's a little tougher to find because Cardboard Connection and Beckett doesn't have some of the older stuff. Dan says picked up 2 more Burley and A&G Chromes today. That link is for a video about them if anybody wants to watch. So George's link there is about the NBA hoops, yellow Sears parallels, part of a box set. Okay, interesting. I'm just keeping positive that this week is slow. I had 10 sales. I was hoping for 20, but it's okay. Grateful I had the opportunity to wake up to do this. Absolutely. My sales have been steady. And again, I keep reminding myself, this is the slow time. This is we're building to the future. And the more I list and hey, it may sit in the eBay store, but remember, baseball is gonna pick up in interest here in about a month to 5 weeks. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And hopefully we can get that in that next month. How many listings can you get in your eBay store? You're always going to be turning over a percentage of your inventory. My inventory turnover now and it's also going to steadily decline as the more and more listings you put in, especially in December. So my inventory turnover in March of 2021, this past March, was 2.3%. And I'm looking at my numbers, and I was doing great in March with my eBay sales. And I'm like, man, if I could turn over 2.3% of my 9,000 eBay listing, that's 207. That's 4x over what I'm currently moving. And it's like, wow, that would be a lot of shipping. 207, which is the goal. So kind of how I project out, it's like 300 a day, which is going to be, and that's where we talk about, okay, it's time to hire somebody to ship. Anyway, let's talk Ginter. Allen and Ginter Tops tweeted out earlier this week. Who do you want to see in Allen and Ginter in 2022? Good morning, Zach. And they do this most every year. And let's go to the Tops tweet. What was it? 2 days ago? Was it Sunday? Today's only Tuesday. I guess it was Saturday. So there 1,700 responses. How about that? So there's a lot of different people list off a lot of different players. Some go into business for themselves, like Uncle Rich, to be honest, me. Pat McAfee is mentioned. Kim Flanders, who's on Twitter. Let's see. Somebody nominated me. Sports Card Live, that's Jeremy Lee. Ivan from Watch the Breaks, Card Collector 2, Kenny Omega, Tony Khan, Uncle Rich, Bernie Carbo, who's a former Red Sox, Famous Pitmasters, Rodney Scott, Bill Veck, let's see, Tulsi Gabbard. So those are some of the like, and I tweeted at him last year, I want to see Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam and Allen and Ginter. Um, that's like my number one who I would want to see. And kind of on the music front, there's been a lot of, I mentioned in the thumbnail, Dave Portnoy, in Egg, Cryptocurrency, Manny Pacquiao, Tony Hawk, Danielle from American Pickers has been. I mean, the list goes on and on. Gary V, and some of those, by the way, if you have those around. Now I haven't. I moved mine back during the peak. The Dave Portnoy cards, just the base Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports was selling for around $100 just for a base common card, $100. Manny Pacquiao was selling for, and again, the prices, these were like around the time I was selling, about $75. Let's see, Tony Hawk was like a $10 card. Gary V, I think, sells for around $10. So the Egg, Jenny has 3 of the Egg. Those sell really well. So those are, take a look at in comp, and some of them you would think, why is this selling for so much? And then, oh, hey, look at this one, and it doesn't sell for anything. So let's see. JC's with us. Good morning. Yesterday was a great show. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Herman says, honestly, I think Rich should make it. Rich is an icon in the hobby. I agree. I don't think Dr. Beckett had a card in a Topps Heritage, like in 2003. He had a card, but I don't think he's been in Ginter. So that would, Dr. Beckett would be a good one on there. That seems high for an auto, or is it a good price? Talking about Dan. Let's see. Zach would get a Bill Vett card. Herman loves the eggs. Of course, Herman loves the eggs. We need a chicken. Can't have an egg without a chicken. So my vote would be Eddie Vedder, Pearl Jam, and that's just because I'm a stand for Pearl Jam. And so Topps has kind of gone in kind of a slight different direction with this set, where early on it was a lot of like historical figure, wild, I think, was it Buffalo Bill Cody, I think, was in it, like in the early days. And it was a lot of, historical figures. But then it seemed like a few years into it, yeah, that's all well and good, and that's cool, that's historical, but hey, Topps is a business. We all have to remember it's a hobby for us. Well, it's a hobby and a business for me. And you have to make money. They're not just doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. How can we make more money on this set? How about living celebrities? Buffalo Bill Cody and a lot of these 1800s historical figures, long gone, out of the public eye. It's like, oh yeah, I read about him in my history book in high school. But all of a sudden, and I don't know when the tide turned, but I'm sure one of the celebrities they put in had a following, influencer status, and all of a sudden, hey, we can market this and let's get influencers. And so that you saw the Gary V's and some of those, because they have millions of followers, Instagram influencers, which, by the way, I think I know one person that's going to be included in this year's Allen and Ginter set. I'm not for sure, but there were rumblings at the National. His name's Buster. If you're into basketball, if you're a basketball fan, you're probably aware of Buster. He is the Buster Sure. He is young kid. He's only like 21. Big time Instagrammer. And he created, let's see, he's also got a podcast called The Buster Show. He created Hoop Nation. I wanted to get that right. So I think Buster's going to be in this year's set. And there it is, the influencer, Scott Rogowski. He did that trivia quiz show a couple years ago. So now, Topps realized, hey, if we get some of these influencers who have 1 million followers, guess what? Look at the Gary V's. People go crazy. over Gary V. And Dave Portnoy, like, you know, his card came out in, I think, 2017. I can't remember, but it was a few years. And up, I don't know what those cards sell for now. I guess I could pick up my phone and look. Um, but they were selling upwards of $125 for a base Portnoy card back in February and March. Let's look it up. In some of the like autographs and relics were selling for $1,000 for an autograph. Ginter. So let's type in. Let's see where the Portnoy Ginter. Again, this is base and it's raw. So they have significantly decreased since the high. So I think I sold mine around $80 back in March. So now they're selling for around 40 to 50. In the peak they were at like around 120, 125. So they have significantly decreased. Manny Pacquiao was another, and his is an older version, or not version, but older Ginter card. Let's type in Manny Pacquiao, and in his at the peak we're selling, well, at the peak when I remember selling mine around $75, and I think I had two of them. And they've decreased as well. They're around Portnoy range. They're 40 to $50. So, and those were the two. Let's see. We had the egg mentioned. Now that's kind of the one that's like, why is the egg selling for so much? Eggs don't have influencers. Let's see. The egg card. I don't know. I didn't buy. Egg came out in 2019. I didn't buy any 2019. Get maybe like two blasters. So I didn't have an egg. If I did, I might have moved. It might have sold for 99 cents. I don't know. Looks like it's selling for about $30, 20 to $30. Let's see. Oh wait, no. I'm way off. Looks like it's selling for about $5. That was something else. So the egg has come down because I know it was at least a $20, $50 card at one point. So yeah, the mini insert sold for $4. Another one sold for $5. So yeah, it's around the eggs around $5. So definitely down from its peak. What was the other one? Let's see. Cryptocurrency, and I think crypto has held its value more so than some of the other ones. And yeah, it looks like there's still, wow, yeah, the cryptocurrency, which was 2018 maybe, 2018. Holy cow! A mini gold border crypto card from 2018 Ginter sold at auction a few days ago for $720. Let's see. Trying to find just the base. The base cryptocurrency card sold for $230. Wow, that's insane. That's a base raw base card from 2018 Allen Ginter. $230. So that has not only held its value, but it's gone up with although crypto is kind of taking a hit here recently. Let's go to the chat. Let's see. I love Gary V, but oddly now has expanded beyond the hobby. He has Uno cards. Yeah, Gary's kind of just moved out of the card spotlight. I think he still collects, but he's big into NFTs, and that's cool. I'm okay with that. I liked Gary V before he came into the hobby. And I liked him when he was in the hobby. Just now he shared even more content that I was interested in. And I'm gonna like him if he chooses to leave the hobby. He provides great content, especially if you're into marketing, social media marketing, business. He gives great advice, great content. So yeah, I'm a big fan. Dan says someone paid $350 or best offer for a Topps Tier 1 of one auto relic a few days ago, talking about Burley. Zach says Ryan's toy review should have a card. I'm not familiar with that one. Subs and Four Guys should have a card. Jenny says, I think some wouldn't be included because the what if example, a breaker in today's market, yeah, has a good following of hobby peeps, but what if they do something Topps doesn't support? That's a great point. That is a really good point. Like, what if cancel culture? What if something happens, especially in, somebody that's not long standing, that has, That's a really good point. JC says, yep, Jenny character is rare these days. Dan says, oh geez, guess where the guy who's living the part of one lives. I was about to drop my eggs off at eBay for $20. Yep, prices on eggs. Everything else is inflation, but eggs are not part of the inflation, at least on cardboard. George's egg cart is priceless. He is. What Herman is talking about, George, who is KBO Collections in the chat, had the egg cart autographed by, was it the San Diego Chicken? I think it was the San Diego Chicken. Those are Beanie Baby prices. I've seen where a hobby podcast got a group together, and then one of the people started having poor character towards others in the hobby, and I think that poisoned their podcast. I know exactly which podcast you're talking about, and I couldn't agree with you more. Yes, I'll just keep the rest of my thoughts to myself. Low Roller Scratcher, did you get free Space Jams NFT? My free Space Jams NFT worth some money today. I don't do NFTs. Do you collect Beanie Babies in the 90s? I did not. I was kind of all over the 90s. I was all over the place. Well, when the Beanie Babies, the Beanie Baby craze occurred when I was in high school, and I wasn't really collecting much. I was off doing 16-year-old, 17-year-old stuff. The typical stuff that takes us away from collecting when we're 16 to 24. Herman says I can name two. Well, I can name one, and I know exactly the one, but I'm trying to think of the second one. I use that podcast scenario to the what if I think Topps looks at. Absolutely. What if they support this hobby person because the good today, but what about tomorrow? Most definitely. There was something else up here. Yeah, I don't do NFTs. I dabbled in the NBA Top Shot for a while, strictly for money. I was pretty transparent about that. The only reason I was buying Top Shot moments was to flip them, and I did. And I didn't become a Top Shot millionaire. I think my net profit on Top Shot was about $50. But hey, it was $50 that I could put towards baseball cards. Let's see. There was one other thing that I wanted to touch on, and now I can't remember. So I'm going to go. Oh, the Hall of Fame. Jenny, does that podcast still use the person in question? I can only think of one podcaster and one breaker. The podcast I'm thinking of still uses that person in question. Low Roller Scratcher, did you keep all NBA Top Shot collection yet? I think all mine sold because I ended up just putting them all on sale for like $3, and they sat there, and I just checked my account just a couple weeks ago, and they were all gone. I have I'm in that dead zone where I have like $20 in my Top Shot, but you need like $30 to withdraw. So it's basically that's my tax. I cashed out, made money. I have some money sitting there, but it's my tax. I guess I could buy some moments, but it's like, what am I going to do with them? With that money that's in there. Let's see. Sopranos have had a huge resurgence, especially with younger folks. That's a great. My wife and I we've never watched The Sopranos, and we started watching, and we stopped. But we watched the first episode, and it's like, hey, this is pretty good. So I would definitely go back and watch The Sopranos. Let's see. They do, which is why I think it poisoned them, because they lost some good listeners for quantity. I think they also lost a fellow host as well on that podcast Jenny speaks of. Let's talk Hall of Fame. It's been a few days. I'm a nerd for Hall of Fame. And again, not Mr. Tibbs on Twitter, tracks all of this. Let's see. He's always on the top of my search in November and December. We've seen a big trend in ballots coming through. So I'm just going to go back through and touch on he gave numbers through so many ballots. So I think David Ortiz, here's my thoughts. I think 10% Um, Zach, I think you know. I'm pretty sure you know who it is, but I will text you. I'm pretty sure you know. About 11% of the votes. Now, I think David Ortiz is going to get in. He's in the 80 percentile, like in the 80 to 82% so far. And again, this is his first year on the ballot, so we have no idea what any of the voters are gonna how they're gonna do David Ortiz. But he's trending in the low 80s percentile through 11% of the voting. I think he gets in. I think David Ortiz is going to be the only player that gets on the writers' ballot this year. And here's why. And through about 10% of the votes, Tibbs had it somewhere on here. There was a ton of ballots that came in. So through 10%, Ortiz was at 81.6%. Bonds and Clemens were both at 78.9%. But here's why I don't think Bonds and Clemens are going to get in, even though they're tracking at 79% through 10% of the votes, because you take a look at the net gained and lost over. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, over last year. Clemens is only +1, and Bonds is at 0. So he has not lost any votes from last year. He has gained any votes from last year. Clemens has gained 1 who did not vote for him last year. So the divide between not getting in, I can't remember the exact number, but it's in the teens. So they need to make up, X amount. Now, we don't know if the non-public voters who don't release their votes to the public, how will they vote? Will they say, okay, your punishment from me as a voter was to hold out for 10 years, and on your 10th ballot you finally get in. And I think we might see that with some ballots. Is it enough to put them over the top? In my opinion, I don't think so. I don't think so. That was my favorite quote from Home Alone when I was 9. I don't think Bonds and Clemens get in, but I do think David Ortiz gets in. So I'll continue tracking that through. I think December 30th, I think we have 10 more days. So I think we'll see a flood more of I think there's usually about 120 votes maybe that are public before the votes are, before the deadline. So yeah, so if you want to track that, Ron Thibodeau is the Twitter account, not Mr. Tibbs on Twitter. And Tibbs is TIBBS. Let's see. There's a reason I care about quality hobby friends here, not quantity. Bo is basically my number one. That is so awesome. I love that. Thank you so much. One of the first guys I met in Twitter hobby has always supported me and stood up for me when people would bully me on Twitter, like there was some really bad bullying targeting online. Had my back for sure. Absolutely, always will. Dan says someone gave me a different name than I was expecting regarding podcast. Yep. So that's what I had for today. I'm not going to go on for another 35. I saw Ken's comment. I think it was Sunday. Sunday always I just end up rambling on for another half an hour. So today I'm going to wrap it up. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great Tuesday. It's shipping time for me. I'm going to do some listing later in the day. Let's see. Rest of the week we've got Christmas coming up. Let's see. So my schedule will remain the same through the week. No show on, I think Christmas is Saturday, correct? Yes. So no show on Saturday. And then Sunday I will have a show recapping Christmas. And then back to regularly scheduled next week. I will be out of town for New Year's, but I will be live Friday morning. No show on New Year's Day, I think. I've got to check with my wife what our schedule is, what our plans are. I know we're going out of town, but I don't know what specific days. But probably not live on Saturday. I don't know. Keep you updated. Let's see. Will you maybe be breaking some card boxes Saturday? Hopefully. If I don't receive any under the Christmas tree from Santa, I will have. I've got some Bowman mega boxes that I'm just stashing. But I will open at least one, maybe two. Maybe I'll spoil myself, give myself a Christmas present, and open two. I've got last year's 2020 update that I'm just sitting on as well that I bought from Black Friday. Um, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Santa brings me on Saturday. If I don't get any cards under the Christmas tree, I'll break into my sealed stash over here and open something. Rick, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Have a great day, and back on tomorrow, 7 a.m. Hit the like button, hit subscribe if you're not already, and we'll chat tomorrow.